One great way to honor mom for Mother's Day is to keep a tradition alive. Janine Washle is sharing some recipes she learned from her mom, who grew up in southern Germany. And you say a lot of people associate strudel, things like that, with German desserts, but
Exactly.
you can have a lighter fruit-based dessert, and that's what
Yes.
we're making.
Yes, and these are the types of desserts that I grew up on. Of course, my great-grandmother taught my grandmother, and it just really went down the line like that. My mom's an only child, and so she was a little spoiled, and they didn't really want her to work too much in the kitchen, so she sat on a stool, and my great-grandmother,
watched.
yes, and grandmother talked her through stuff. So that actually drove my mom to want to cook even more because they wouldn't let her.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a recipe for an apricot sour cream cake that we're making.
Yes.
Let's get started on that.
All right, we had a big apricot tree, and so this is a dessert that was made a lot, and this is actually one of my mom's favorite desserts. And when I talked to her last week to ask her what her favorite side dishes and desserts were, and her memories and that sort of thing, she said, "Oh, you've got to make that apricot cake. I could eat it every week."
Okay.
So this is what we're going to demo. And actually, I've patted the crust into a pan already, and it's basically a shortbread crust. When it bakes up, it
Kind of
stays
buttery.
soft.
Okay.
Oh yes. And these are just canned in their own syrup apricots. You could, if you had access to fresh apricots, poach them, but that's a lot of trouble. And this is the way that Mom does it. Yes, put them cut side down and space them a little bit apart, and that's 2 cans worth. And we just fit them in, put the pretty ones to the outside, and if there are any messed up ones, I put those in the center.
Okay.
And then the batter is so easy. It's 2 cups of sour cream. I'm just going to dump this in real quick. And then we thicken this up with cornstarch and a little bit of milk, add some sugar and eggs, 2 eggs.
Now, has your mom tried your version of her apricot sour cream cake? Does she give it the thumbs up?
I actually sent her a picture of it and said, "Mom, am I doing it right? Does it look right? I don't remember how you made this." And she gave me the thumbs up and high praise and said, "You are my wonderful baker daughter."
Oh, good. Is she still in Germany, or is she here in the U.S.?
No, she actually moved to Florida. My brother lives in Florida, so Mom lives near him. And she is into ballroom dancing. She does competitive ballroom dancing. She loves yoga. My mother is very active. I actually called her and invited her up for this segment. She said, "Oh, honey, you should have given me at least a month's notice. I am way too busy."
Well, there you go.
So, that I would rather have a busy mom than a mom that, is not occupied, so to speak.
Okay.
And so this is the batter. My mom, like I had mentioned earlier, was raised in southern Germany on a big farm. She's an only child. And do you know that her name is Rosemary, but that wasn't the name that was intended for her.
What was intended for her?
Well, when my grandmother had her, she was handed a list, and because she was born during the time of, the Hitler occupation and, that sort of thing, she was handed a list, and she said, "You have to choose a name off of the list." And so my grandmother, and I come from a family of headstrong women, and my grandmother looked at the list and she was like, "Well, no, the name's not on there." And so for 3 days she held out until she was threatened. And, the Nazi hospitals and whatever, I mean, they just ruled everything. And so finally my grandmother threw the sheet of paper at the nurse and she said, "Just name her Rosemary." And my grandmother wanted to name her Rachel, but Rachel wasn't on the list. So,
Rosemary is beautiful, though.
It is a beautiful name. Mom can't stand it when people get it mixed up with Rosemary. And she's like, "My name is Rosemary."
Not Rosemary.
And exactly. So my mom was a infant and had that little run-in with, with Hitler's rules and whatever. And then before she was even 2 years old, she had another run-in with, a situation. So, it was just a very tumultuous time that my mom was raised in. But my family made it. My great-grandfather actually allowed Jews to escape using his barns. He was part of the Jewish underground. So they got in big trouble for that. But it's all,
it's
part
something
of
you have
history.
to preserve, right? And you need to write that down, just like
Exactly.
Janine has said. Write down Mom's recipes. If you got a favorite one, preserve it, and then you can keep tradition alive.
And for my birthday, because I was interested in this recipe, my mom wrote the recipe down and sent it in my birthday card.
Very nice. Janine, thank you for sharing this with us. She'll share more recipes through our website. We'll get you in touch with her.